Okay, as I was promised, here is my game review. I'm playing against a rider who I've played plenty of times, quite a lot in sealed tournaments or sealed events, and can never seem to beat this guy. He is obviously a great player, and I've learned a lot from playing against him. It doesn't matter what seems to be the theatre, whether it's sealed, open, Jawa, he always comes out on top. So, I wasn't expecting anything different with this game. Also, I haven't played against ISB for quite some time. I know it's changed since the last time I played against it, where it was very heavily sort of the trooper beats. That was a big change with the starting location and the slip sliding away. It's gone more towards this space, the Star Destroyers, free executor, and then their ground package is more of the walkers. Obviously, it's a bit of a big deal when you're using Jedi with lightsabers because you can't hit the things. They've got reasonable immunity to attrition. So going into this game, my plan was basically find the nightclub as soon as possible, get a Jedi with a lightsaber there. Ideally, it would be Luke or Obi-Wan with the journal, because if my opponent puts someone nearby on Coruscant, like a docking bay, their objective reduces your force drains by 1, but obviously with the journal, that doesn't happen. So, and it's an interior site. If you're wondering what just happened then, I don't know if you can see it on screen, but my dog is here. He was just sat on my knee and decided to get down, so slightly distracting. But yeah, if you see anything appearing on screen, it's him knocking about. So yeah, so let's get on with this game. Obviously, my starting hand, pretty happy to see this. Got Obi-Wan, Yoda, a gift, or gift of the mentor. So I just need Luke. I've got a Rebel leadership, works nicely with Obi-Wan, or I can use it to pull Leia. Return of the Jedi, so I can get Obi-Wan's hut out, and then Clash, Friendly Fire Altar, and Solo. So, a fairly decent hand. I'm quite happy with this for a start. Let's see how this unfolds. So I'm going to speed this up slightly. Get us through the first few turns. So he very standard ISB pulled Piet and Ozzel with the shield, execute docking bay, and Piet pulled Merrick. So what I found interesting with this is he used established control to pull Fondor. So for him, Fondor says the execute deploys -5 here, which makes me think he's not playing the best bin. They must never leave this place. Yeah, never again leave this place. Effect, which is the one that lets you deploy the executor for free. So I did wonder if he's even playing the executor, because still 10 force to deploy it to Fondor is not cheap. And also it frees up probably 6 card slots in his build for other starships, other characters, maybe a slightly heavier ground package, more tricks. So I was obviously conscious of that from seeing this start. So that was his first turn. My first turn, super basic, doing the usual, pulling 2 shields against ISB. Definitely want aim high, make them pay to retrieve their agents once it's flipped, and grabber is standard. Deploy my location. Obi-Wan's hut is obviously great, just for the activation. The one you really want is the Skywalker hut to pull 3PO, and then you can start cycling your cards. I don't actually think I ever got that far in this game. But yeah, and then I'm just drawing a few cards, and then here drawing these few, I'm really happy. I get Obi-Wan's Journal, the Nightclub, and Rey. I think this is like 4 of the best cards to have this early in the game. And it's just exactly what I wanted, so I was really happy to have drawn these 3 cards. So moving on, he plays the Docking Bay to Tatooine, which I guess is fairly standard. If he didn't have another Docking Bay to pull, which is probably what happened because he does pull another one on his next turn, I was probably lucky with this because he could have put it on Coruscant, I guess, to try and, from his point of view, try and affect my Force Drains. Obviously he doesn't know I'm playing the Journal, but I think that's not the Docking Bay he would have wanted to pull this turn. So what I like about this game is it's super skillful, super, you've got to know what you're doing if you want to be a good player, and you've got to be able to track and remember a lot of things. But there is also an element of luck in this. He lucked out perhaps not getting the Docking Bay he wanted. This goes in my favour now, and yeah, they say even the sun shines on a dog's bum once a day. I feel like that's a saying. If it's not, correct me. Maybe I'm getting my metaphors mixed up, but yeah, I feel like this game, as structured as it is, still has a nice element of surprise and uncertainty. So his turn 2 was pretty straightforward, Merrick, and then pulled Mustafar. And I feel like definitely he's not playing the Executor now. He also played his Death Squadron assignments, which didn't actually look... Oh, he pulled Blizzard 8. So Walkers, this one... First of all, this picture is amazing. And if you watched it was the Advocates Awards show, you saw Jared displaying the new boxes that have been designed by the PC, the new card boxes, deck boxes that they've been updated to make them bigger, and this Blizzard 8 is one of them, and it's probably the one I would want the most. It looks so cool. So there's that, and then also its text is pretty good. It draws a destiny if unable to otherwise, always a nice feature. It's a nutrition less than 4 with General VSV, so nutrition less than 6, and then draws 2 battle destinies, and it's power 9, and I think he adds to the armor as well, so this is like a really solid vehicle, I think for any deck really, not just ISB. So my turn 2, I'm going to go Obi-Wan, and then we see Saitor. Like I was saying in the previous video, I like it because it pulls his lightsaber for a drain of 3. Give him... Oh, I didn't do it. So, misclick. So yeah, so drop Rey for a bit of backup, and also I wanted to get a new, get her going, draw some extra cards, and found General Leia. So General Leia definitely a superstar in this deck for Force Retrieval. She's just, she's the bee's knees. Raider card. That's what I was going to say. So, the one thing, obviously, with doing this, deploying Obi-Wan, I felt like he was fairly safe just on his own, without a weapon, because I had the leaderships. So, I was obviously hoping to get his lightsaber with Saitor, but that's why I then deployed Rey. Because if his lightsaber hadn't have been in there, I was going to deploy Rey anyway, and hopefully get it from use pile. But obviously it worked out perfectly. He got it from reserve deck, and then Rey got me General Leia, so that was like a nice turn. And then I just leave a couple of Force. Another thing what is so cool with Rey, you don't obviously have to spend all your Force every turn. You can save a couple and then draw it in your opponent's turn instead of, drawing it and finding that it's useless and you could have actually spent it. So yeah, so there we go, he deployed. This is also a really cool image from set 16. Yoda, Vader's personal Mustafar private platform docking bay. It's got nice text that once per turn you can deploy a starfighter with Vader in title here. So his shuttle or his tie, and then obviously you take off free from docking bays to Mustafar. Forgot to pause it a second ago because he gave me verify, and he plays the pilot Vader. So I'm imagining the shuttle is the most likely because it can at least move, whereas the TIE obviously has no hyperspeed. So this is obviously a space-ish orientated deck, I think, looking at the setup so far. So I'm not too worried about the ground, up to now anyway. Merrick gets some Kashyyyk, and we see the Stalker, Ozzel, and then this is where he decides to go to ground. So Agent Carlos gets him 2 cards. I bet money on them getting battle deployment, start pulling out the other vehicles. Blizzard 2 obviously is the next one I'm imagining he's going to get because he's got Blizzard 8 in his hand. It's also why I got General Leia in here, she blanks that when she's at a battleground site. She effectively makes this a dud card while she's on the table. So, and it gets a 6 out of his deck. So I'm happy for him to get that. Also, with him deploying Callus here at this docking bay, imagine Pierre and Merrick are going to go over. But this is also what's cool about ISB. He's deployed a Star Destroyer, Ozzel 3, Agent Callus. He's only got 3 force left in his reserve deck. But he still manages to get another dude out with the potential for more. So, ISB can still generate a decent sort of force, mainly because of this dude, Colonel Wolf Yularen. When he's deployed, you can activate up to 4 force, or you can activate up to X force, limit of 4, where X equals the number of ISB agents on table. So I know you see him paired with Vanderlei. So deploy Wolf, activate 4, deploy Vanderlei, pick him back up, deploy Wolf again, activate another 4. It's like a really cool way of generating more force to be able to obviously back up all your dudes. So he's got, it's a decent force here. It's power 10, 2 destinies because of Callus, and his forfeit is insane. Wolf's like 7, and then these guys are all 6. So he's not really got too many worries about being overflowed until it's my turn. So he starts drawing, building his hand back up. I raid, got Jedi's, Return of a Jedi. Okay, so he pulls Battle Plan. Now this play, I played Return of the Jedi to look at my reserve deck, which, this is going fast and I can't pause it fast enough, but basically I wanted to check that Leia's gun was in my reserve deck. Now, in the past, being a newbie player and not knowing what I was doing or worrying about what I was doing, I probably wouldn't have played Return of the Jedi. I would have kept it in my hand just thinking it's a force I'm going to pitch to, 4 strain later on, because I don't want to give up a verify of my deck. But the amount of times I've not done a verify and then gone ahead and just deployed Leia and then hopefully used Cytol to get a blaster and it's not in there, and scuppered my chances of doing any real damage just because I don't want to give up a verify. Obviously there are times when it's probably not advantageous to let your opponent see what's in your reserve deck, but after watching a lot of good players, in Worlds and at the NPC this weekend, you need to know what's in your reserve deck to make a plan. especially in a deck like this where you're playing Speak as well, because it's like, okay, what's in my reserve deck? Well, if it's not in my reserve deck, then it's in my used force pile. So, you know, in this turn I'm going to go Yoda for 4, Leia for 4, that's 8 force, I get to pick a card. You know, something that's going to be really helpful in either, you know, maybe it's the starship that you need, or maybe it's the landing claw, or, you know, it's something to clear this stack. So if there's one thing I have learned, is don't be afraid to give up verifies. You know what's in your deck so that you can make a plan for the turns ahead. So that's what I did, and then I'm going to slow this down because I feel like there's times when I want to pause this. So yeah, so give up the verify. I'm not going to force drain because he pulled battle plan and I don't want to spend the 3 force. So we go down with Yoda. This new Yoda is a beast. When there's only 2 Jedi on the table, he's power plus 3, so he's 6. And we get Leia, use Speak. And so in my force pile, we're looking at Luke's lightsaber is useless. Meditation, obviously helpful. Jedi levitation, probably the card I should have got. Neben Leeds is useless. Sorry about the mess. I was too sorry about the mess. BB-8. Yeah, I was umming and ahhing, you know. Luke's lightsaber, disarmed, Return of the Jedi, Neben Leeds, all useless, essentially. The sorry about the mess is probably, in retrospect, possibly should have got one of them, or the levitation, but I went for meditation instead. I think I was planning on using it against these guys for the extra destiny, and didn't end up doing it anyway in the end. So Leia gets her blaster rifle using Saitor, and then Impulse Secret Plans. And then yeah, this is the other thing that I like about the mother, the thoughts on your mother effect, is it lets you just deploy Anakin's lightsaber. It doesn't say, you know, deploy Anakin's lightsaber on Anakin, which again is why I went with these Lukes and this General Leia, because they can, and Anakin, they can all use this lightsaber. Because I've got the Clash in my hand, you know, she is going to clash someone, she's going to shoot someone, and yeah, I think that was another reason why I didn't get the sorry about the mess, because I thought she's going to shoot someone anyway. With the Jedi levitation, I could have got that, but when I obviously checked my deck, I saw there's 3 Anakins. The mother effect of it lets me take him into hand and cancel and cause a redraw. And then the rest of my destinies, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 ones out of 21. 21 cards, and the rest are all 3+. So, you know, I felt pretty confident that Leia was going to shoot whoever I went for. Sorry, I can hear the dog snoring slightly. I'm just checking he's alright. So Leia gets tooled up. Yoda gets meditation. I have wondered about taking meditation out for something else, but I'm not 100% sure what to change it for at the moment. Rey gets me another Anakin. So here, I obviously could have deployed Anakin for 5, he would have battled for 3, and I would have had 1 force left to fire Leia's gun, but that would have left me with no force left to fire her gun on Ryder's turn, and I was thinking better to keep Anakin in hand for a future turn, because if for some reason I had to lose, both these characters, it's not likely, but if I did, at least with Anakin, I can redeploy him and get his lightsaber from Lost Pile. So keeping Anakin for a future turn, I thought was the best bet here. So I play Ult of Friendly Fire. And we draw an Anakin. So I didn't want to risk drawing a 4, so I just let that go through, didn't use the Mother effect to cancel and cause a redraw. I also think this is why this card is going to get nerfed, because it's so cool. It's a Destiny 4 to start with, which is nice. But this second part, if a battle was just initiated, not if opponent just initiated, you can use this offensively as well, like I just did. At a site where opponent has 4 or more characters, draw Destiny. If Destiny less than a number of opponent's characters at that site, opponent chooses one to be lost. So this I thought was just great. I initiate battle, play Ult of Friendly Fire, gets Piet, and then either Leia or my epic event allows me to retrieve a force, so I get it straight back. So essentially just got rid of Piet for nothing, or for 1 force. I'm going to fire Leia's gun. I'm going to go for Agent Callus, get rid of that second Destiny. With a 3, just about gets him. Ability 3. I always think he's got armor for some reason. I think it's because of the picture, but no armor, just ability 3. So there he goes. And then play leadership to add a Destiny myself, which he grabs. I mean, it's a standard grab. I don't think it's potentially the best grab against this deck of mine, especially if he's playing Veers. It doesn't really affect that, apart from me adding a Destiny, I guess. But yeah, and then just Clash Wolf, because he's got the biggest forfeit. And then I was like, ugh, a 1. And then it's just that great feeling, isn't it, when you draw like a blind 6 or a 7. Just feels great. So yeah, he was down 16 battle damage. Merrick did cover 6 of that, because these ISB guys, like I say, their forfeit is pretty impressive. I just very luckily had, tricks here. Leia's gun, Clash, and the Ult of Friendly Fire getting someone made a huge difference there. If I couldn't have perhaps clashed, he's not really taking any overflow. Nice to see Tarkin was still in his reserve deck. Tarkin's always a pain because he cancels a Destiny. So then yeah, here we see Blizzard 2 and Mr. Veers. And this is where I was thinking I perhaps should have used meditation. But never mind. So he plays, I can't shake him, to make me have to pay an extra force to fire my weapon. Not that I could have got this thing, it's like armor 8, so there's no way Leia's taking this thing out. So I thought might as well just rare card, and it's Rose, so extra force retrieval, happy with that. He plays command to get Admiral Chirinu. And then he draws a 1. And a 5. So he's 15 to my 10. Yoda of obviously forfeits for 7, so I'm not worried about this at all. And then I draw a nice 5. Bye bye Yoda. That was something I thought was interesting, that is he moved away. He's obviously satisfying battle plan because he's at the battleground site, and Wolf is not. I can't battle into him still because of Clash on my turn. So I suppose it allows him to drain for free in space and here on the ground. However, I would have left. I suppose. Yeah, moving away is probably a good idea, I guess. So yeah, my turn. I've got a bit of a low hand. He does this weird thing where he puts the trooper down instead of just taking a drain of 3. Use Anakin to back up layer, pass the saber over, and then I ummed and ahed about Rose, and I thought I'm just gonna save the force here because I'm initiating battle with a resistance character, so Leia gets me my Yoda back. And this is why I thought this was a weird play, because yeah, he maybe he's only got 6 more cards in his hand. What more could he have, I guess? But he reacts with this trooper, and then he's obviously going to have to gick the battle. He's lucky that I didn't have a draw their fire in hand, because otherwise he would have been down 7 plus whatever I draw for Destiny, which is that 7. Also at this point I was like, okay, now I know where the 7 is, and it's easier to track. But yeah, he lost a guy and a gick. I suppose I could have grabbed the gick, but I was waiting to perhaps grab like a barrier or something. So if we just think about that play for a minute, he, instead of losing 3 to a force drain, he lost a guy and a gick. On his turn, he can retrieve the guy because those stormtroopers are ISB agents, so he essentially lost 1 force instead of 3. However, he had to save 3 force to deploy the trooper. With only he had 7 cards in hand. I think I would have preferred to have just drawn those 3 cards and hope for something better than just putting a guy here. I know he's already lost 10 force in a previous battle and a few guys. But yeah, I did think this was a bit of a strange play. And then ended my turn. We're over to him now. So there you go, you saw the Vader and Vader shuttle, which comes out. Oh, excuse me. Oh man. It's been a super long week already. So I get drained for 2 in space, drained for 2 on the ground. So remember that 7 that we drew last battle? I had 18 cards in my reserve deck when it was on the top of my used pile. I can only activate 14, so I was like, I need to lose 4 cards off the top to be able to get to it, and he just happened to drain for 4. So really happy with that, because now it's risky only if he's got a trample, but I can go down with Solo, draw a 7, clear Veers and the Blizzard Walker if need be. So here comes Vader's shuttle. So Tyranny down, obviously ups his force drain. And then this guy is a new set 17 ISB agent, Director Horus. I can't remember what he's from, is my only thing. I was going to Google him. But anyway, he's quite cool, because during your deploy phase, a unique Imperial ability lesson 3 hit make a regular move, and then when you deploy him, when you deploy him, you can put a unique ISB agent here in use pile to deploy for free a non-talking ISB agent with a different card title here from the use pile. So he kind of cycles you guys around, which is what he does here. So Wolf goes in. Vandalay comes out. Vandalay lets him pick up Horus again. Harris. Ison. Let's call him Ison. And Vandalay is also the cool one that if he draws, I think, ISB agents, he can take him into hand. So then he does one over to Docking Bay, gets Invader Shuttle, and takes off. Moves Blizzard Walker away, so now he's at a battleground site. But he used a lot of force to do all that sort of shuffling, when all he could have done was walked Wolf over to here, got in Blizzard Walker, and then walked here. He was obviously thinking 3 battlegrounds, get resistance to cap this at 2. I think resistance is the only thing that gets around the journal because it's not essentially modifying my force drains, it's just capping them at 2. That's kind of one of the weird wordplay things you find in Star Wars, and a rule that's like kind of obscure that you just need to know. But yeah, he did all this and ran his hand right down to 4 cards, and I'm in a pretty nice position because I've got, a drain of 2 and a drain of 2 here. Whereas again, I think because of ISB, it says when you have a non-undercover ISB agent at a battleground site, your force drains are +1 there, and opponents' force drains are -1 at same and related locations. So yeah, if he'd have kept Wolf on the Blizzard Walker, he would have knocked this to drain of 2, from a drain of 2 with the lightsaber to 1, and this would have been a drain of 2 for him. Obviously he's up, this is a drain of 1, but yeah, I think his play should have been Wolf and the Blizzard Walker, walk away, and just stay on 2 sites and replenish your hand for the sake of 1 force drain here. Because essentially he's saved 1 force here, but I'm able to drain for 1 extra here. So it didn't gain him anything from what he's losing apart from force draining me for 1 extra. But anyway, that is the least of his worries. I ray a card, pay 3 force drain for 3 at the nightclub. The nightclub is one of those cards I really want to get the AI for because I think it looks amazing. It's such a cool image. I'll have to try and win some more packs somehow. So yeah, so if he had Trample, I wasn't expecting it with only a couple of cards in his hand. This would have been suicide, but I feel like I'm in a reasonable position anyway. And if he does trample him, I'm just going to draw, these cards and go again next turn, hopefully. No trample, put Rose down. Again, gets retrieved with Leia because of Solo being a resistance agent. Not resistance, a rebellion, resistance character. And there's the 7. With the forfeit, I wasn't really fussed on what kind of power, because I knew I was drawing a 7, so I was going to be on 11. He draws the trample, which must be really frustrating when he does that. But yeah, Solo forfeits for 7, so I can cover 18. So as long as he doesn't draw more than 9, I'm good to go with no damage. Yeah, he draws 8, so just leaves Solo, clear him off a battleground site, so now he's going to have to pay if he wants to drain in space. There's one thing about Vias and the Walkers is Blizzard 2 is immune to attrition less than 4. General Vias, while piloting a combat vehicle, is immunity to attrition plus 2, which is obviously 6. But Vias is only forfeit 5, so if you do correct the immunity to the Blizzard Walker, you get both. So if you're playing Walkers and Vias, try and get another guy with him that's 6 forfeit at least, and then you don't have to lose everything, which is a little bit frustrating. I think he's probably, that's his best ground force, and it's gone. And I didn't go through it before, but in the previous battle where he lost 10 force, he pitched Blizzard 8 from his hand, which I was really shocked to see, but that's what happens sometimes. So I'm just going to draw some more cards. Another Anakin, got Chewie, so I can get a use pile search, because the rest of my hand is pretty much garbage at this point. I could play leadership to get Ogon out my deck, but it's grab, so I need to pay 2 force, and it's going to go essentially lost. And then, so he drains for 3 at Kashyyyk, 1 over here. And we see the Vengeance. Definitely no Executor in this build. So I'm not sure if this is the right kind of build you want for ISB if you're doing space. And I'm guessing he feels pretty safe. Most of my characters, my decent characters anyway, are on the table. He just puts this dude by himself just to occupy a battleground site. So I'm guessing, he's hoping I'm not going to do anything, which is foolish-ish. I got 7 cards in my hand. He's looking at draining for 3, 2, and 1. 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm at 24 in life, 7 in hand, so even if he does do all that, it's not really making much of a dent in my game. And I'm draining him for 2 and 2. 2 and 1 now because he's an ISB agent. But not to be. The rare card, get another leadership. So on this turn, I got 15 force to work with. Now, the way we talked about using Speak before is, technically deploy Padme for 4, then put Chewie down for 5, so I've spent 9 force to look through my force pile to get a better card out. But in this turn, because I just want to crush this ISB agent. I'm thinking, who else have I got? I've got another Luke, got another Yoda. I can't even think what the other characters are I've got in this deck now. Lando, perhaps? Yeah, there must be Lando in here. So, I'm thinking if I go with Chewie first, spend 5 force, see what I get. I've still got 10 left. If I get a decent character like Luke, I can put Luke down instead, and then Luke's lightsaber, if it's either in force pile, I can get it, or if it's in the reserve deck, Saito can get it. And then Luke, Chewie, and the lightsaber is just going to obliterate this dude. If there's no characters in there, or no one of value, then I can deploy Padme, still battle, draw Destiny, and do some overflow. So I decide to go that route instead, and it pays off beautifully because Luke is in there, so is his hand. But I don't actually think we even get to play this last turn out. Use Chewie, cancel his game text just because I can. That was one of those things where I think if you can do it, then you should, because when you can do it, and it's an important game, you can sometimes forget. So, I always try to remember, if I can do something like that, just do it. Get in the habit of doing those things, because when it matters, you don't want to forget. And then, so I deploy Luke, and he concedes. So I was very happy with this match, finally, to have beaten Ryder. Like I say, he always just wipes the floor with me. I got another game I want to show a few clips from a slightly altered build of this. He played Shadow Collective. It was probably fun for him, but not so much for me. But yeah, this deck has been fun to build this week. I've enjoyed it. We're up to 40 minutes almost already, so I'm just going to quickly do a review of this epic event with Anakin. Firstly, I don't think it's competitive at the moment. I doubt you'll see it in any major events in the near future, but it is fun to play. I like the thematics of it, and I'm a huge fan of all the episode 1, those episode 1, 2 and 3. I love those films just for the fact that I kind of like that period of more the Jedi being the focus of the Star Wars films, lightsaber dueling and all the rest of it. So I like playing with young Obi-Wan, Anakin, Qui-Gon, Mace, all those dudes. So that was fun. Something I would like to perhaps see is maybe some text on the mother effect that allows you to deploy an extra sort of site, whether that be the council chamber maybe, just for that extra little bit of activation, or I'm trying to think, like maybe just episode 1 non-battlegrounds, so you could possibly still do the Boss Nash chambers. I know, I think listening to some of the holotheater shows, trying to steer away from the TRM style of builds where you just swap like 5 cards and it's essentially the same deck. This is different because obviously I'm playing the Nightclub, which is slightly different text to the Naboo battle planes, and the Destiny has been reduced slightly, although the cards you use have more utility. It pulls out Obi-Wan's Journal, pulls out Gift of a Mentor. But yeah, the non-battleground restriction does make you sort of think. One of the builds I played or tried was to use the new Pathetic Lifeform. I want to say established control, but that's this one. Is it security precautions? Which says if you've got a episode 1 leader or Jar Jar at an episode 1 location, you can activate a force during opponent's turn, and it also lets you deploy docking bays. So I played the Massasi docking bay and Coruscant docking bay as well, I think, to go with over here. Still played the farm, because obviously it's episode 1, and then it's that thing of we'll get Obi-Wan to any of your locations. I also had Rex in that build because Obi-Wan pulls him, and I think pretty sure Rex is a leader. I think he is. He's got to be. He's the leader of the 501st. So, and also I had Padme. Instead of this one, I used the Queen because she's the leader, and she also makes your Republic characters defense value +2, immune to attrition less than 3, and immune to sniper. And it didn't have any of these rebel and not many resistance characters. It was a lot more Republic. But I think I only played like one game with that deck, and there were a lot of other things that didn't quite work with it. Might revisit it at another time. But yeah, so this deck, it's been fun. Let me know if you've been playing it. Have you done anything different? Anything crazy? I know someone put in the forum under the My Father Has It blog post, I forget what they're called now, thing that I put anyway in the deck discussions. Florvis, I think the name is, I put one where he used a lot of the clones, which I thought was cool. I didn't have a chance, or I haven't had a chance to build it and play that deck, but I'm definitely going to. I've always wanted to try and do a decent clone deck, and I'm hoping for some more clone support in future sets. So yeah, let me know what you think. Any critiques, anything you think I need to change, and what are you doing with this build? Until then, thanks very much for watching, and I shall see you again next time. May the Force be with you.